Every mind leaves clues, and sometimes the clue is a word you say so often you don't even notice it anymore. Sorry, you bump into a chair. Sorry. Someone walks directly into you, and somehow you apologize to them. You reply to an email 10 minutes later. Sorry for the late response. Someone asks you to repeat yourself. Sorry, you need help. Sorry, you disagree with someone. Sorry, but... And maybe the strangest part? Sometimes you apologize when you haven't actually done anything wrong. So why? What if that reflex isn't politeness at all, but a deeply learned strategy your brain uses to make uncomfortable situations feel safer? Today, we're unraveling the hidden psychology of the chronic apologizer and why your sorry might be quietly costing you more than you realize. Let's start with something uncomfortable. A lot of excessive apologizing is learned, not necessarily because someone explicitly taught you to say sorry all the time, but because your brain learned what happened after you apologized. Imagine you're 6 years old. There's tension in the room. Someone is angry. You don't completely understand why, so you say, "I'm sorry." And suddenly, the room gets quieter. The anger decreases. The conversation moves on. Your 6-year-old brain doesn't analyze the situation. It doesn't think, "Interesting, I've just discovered a conflict resolution strategy." It simply learns, sorry made things safer. And that's the important part. Children who grow up around frequent criticism, unpredictable reactions, intense conflict, or pressure to keep everyone happy can become extremely sensitive to other people's moods. They learn to watch faces, listen to footsteps, notice changes in someone's voice. They become experts at detecting when something feels wrong. And if apologizing repeatedly helped reduce that tension, the brain may begin connecting the two. Apology leads to tension decreases, leads to safety returns. If saying sorry kept the room calm when you were 6, your brain may have quietly decided, sorry equals survival. And years later, you're an adult. But that little reflex can still be running in the background. Someone sighs. Sorry. Someone looks annoyed. Sorry. Someone becomes quiet. Did I do something? Sorry. The situation has changed, but the strategy stayed. Now here's where things get more interesting. Sometimes the chronic apologizer isn't actually apologizing because they believe they've done something wrong. They're apologizing because they can't tolerate the uncertainty of not knowing whether something is wrong. Think about it. You send someone a message. They don't reply. Nothing has happened. But your brain starts filling in the blanks. Maybe they're annoyed. Maybe I said something weird. Maybe I talked too much. Maybe I bothered them. Maybe they're pulling away. And before you have any evidence, you send, sorry if I'm bothering you. Notice what just happened. You didn't apologize for an action. You apologized for a possibility. That's anxiety doing something very clever. It turns uncertainty into a problem you can supposedly solve. Because if you say sorry, maybe they'll say, no, you're fine. And for a moment, the anxiety disappears. That relief teaches the brain to do it again. This is why excessive apologizing can become a self-reinforcing loop. Uncertainty creates anxiety. Anxiety creates an apology. Reassurance creates relief. Relief reinforces the apology, and the cycle repeats. You're not necessarily apologizing for what you did. Sometimes, you're apologizing because you're afraid of what someone might think about what you did. And eventually, the pattern can become even deeper. You start apologizing for taking up someone's space. Sorry, can I ask you something? Sorry, can you help me? Sorry, I need to leave early. Sorry, I can't make it. Sorry, I need some time alone. And that's when the word becomes more than an apology. It becomes a way of saying, please don't be upset with me for having needs. That's the hidden anxiety engine. But here's the part people don't talk about enough. Constant apologizing can affect how clearly other people understand you. Not because saying sorry magically makes someone weak, and not because confident people never apologize. They do. The difference is when and why they apologize. A well-placed apology communicates accountability. A constant apology can communicate uncertainty. Imagine a coworker who starts every sentence with, "Sorry, I just wanted to ask." "Sorry, maybe this is stupid." "Sorry, but I was thinking." "Sorry, can I make a suggestion?" After hearing that enough times, people may start focusing less on what the person is saying and more on the uncertainty surrounding it. The message gets buried underneath the apology. And in environments where confidence affects whose ideas get heard, that can have consequences. You may have a good idea, but you introduce it like you're asking permission to have one. You may have a reasonable boundary, but you present it like you're guilty for having it. You may deserve an explanation, but you phrase the request like you're inconveniencing someone. And sometimes, people learn to push against boundaries that are constantly presented as apologies, not because everyone is secretly trying to take advantage of you, but because repeated self-minimizing can make your limits less clear. Think about the difference. "Sorry, I can't stay late tonight," versus "I can't stay late tonight." Same boundary. Completely different psychological signal. The second one doesn't mean you're rude. It means you're not automatically treating your own boundary as a wrongdoing, and that's the hidden cost. When sorry gets attached to everything, the word starts losing its meaning, and so does the apology that actually matters. But here's the important part. You don't need to become someone who never apologizes, and you definitely don't need to feel ashamed because you apologize too much. Don't apologize for apologizing. Instead, learn to audit it. The next time sorry comes out automatically, pause for 1 second. Ask yourself, what exactly am I apologizing for? If you hurt someone, apologize. If you made a mistake, own it. If your actions caused harm, take responsibility. A genuine apology is powerful precisely because it means something. But if you haven't actually done anything wrong, try saying what you actually mean. Instead of, "Sorry to bother you," try, "Do you have a minute?" Instead of, "Sorry, can I ask something?" Try, "Can I ask you something?" Instead of, "Sorry, I can't make it." Try, "I won't be able to make it." Instead of, "Sorry for the late reply." Try, "Thanks for waiting." At first, this might feel strangely uncomfortable. You might even feel rude. That's okay, because if you're used to making yourself smaller, taking up normal amounts of space can feel enormous. And that discomfort doesn't necessarily mean you're doing something wrong. It may simply mean you're learning a new pattern. The goal isn't to remove sorry from your vocabulary. The goal is to save your sorry for when it actually means something. That's not becoming less caring. That's becoming more intentional. And ironically, that can make your genuine apologies more powerful. So let's put the entire case together. First, the conditioning. You may have learned early that apologizing reduced tension and restored safety. Second, the anxiety engine. You may apologize to manage uncertainty, avoid conflict, or get reassurance before you even know whether you've done anything wrong. And third, the hidden cost. When apologies become automatic, they can blur your boundaries, weaken the clarity of your communication, and make you sound less certain than you actually are. 3 mechanisms, 1 tiny word. Sorry. But here's what I want you to remember. You don't have to apologize for having needs. You don't have to apologize for asking questions. You don't have to apologize for setting boundaries. You don't have to apologize because someone else is in a bad mood. And you don't have to take responsibility for emotions that belong to someone else. Take responsibility for what belongs to you. But don't carry what doesn't. Maybe you've spent years thinking, "I'm just too apologetic." Maybe that's not the whole story. Maybe your brain simply learned that saying sorry was safer than waiting to find out what would happen. And if that's true, you don't need to hate that part of yourself. It was probably trying to protect you. You just don't need the same protection in every situation anymore. Your apologies have value, so don't spend them on nothing. Save them for the moments when they actually communicate accountability, empathy, and care. Because sometimes the person saying sorry the most isn't the person who's done the most wrong. They're simply the person who learned to blame themselves first. Case file number 0. 08 is almost closed. But before we close it completely, be honest. How many times have you said, sorry, today? Drop the number in the comments. Let's unravel it together, because sometimes the apology isn't the clue. The reason you felt you needed to apologize is... Join us in the next case, and remember, every mind laves clues.